Step number, step. How to stay positive at work without faking it. The truth is, you're going to be spending at least 1/3 of your lifetime at work, doing work, and hopefully it is something that you're inspired by. Hopefully it is something that brings you fulfillment. And when I say being positive at work, I'm not talking about some woo-woo, think positive thoughts and everything's going to be okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about true fulfillment. I'm talking about how can you be congruent with positivity? How can you be truly deep inside at your core, in your heart of hearts, feeling that this is where you belong. So I'm going to give you 6 steps that you can take to be more positive authentically at work without faking it. Step number 1 is to be congruent with positivity. It's just like a marriage. I mean, you can't expect to go into a marriage and that it will make you happy. You have to already be happy when you go into that marriage, and then you will have a better chance of ensuring that that marriage will be happy and to be congruent with positivity. And the same is true of your career. You have to already be a happy person. You have to already be a positive person. And recognize that everything that you do, all the decisions that you make, all the decisions that you don't make or that you avoid making, all the actions you take are driven by your desires, and you have an emotion around those desires. So everything you do is driven by the emotions of that desire. So go and watch my video, the video I did on how to find fulfilling work, what they don't teach you in school, where I talk about the 6 basic human needs. These basic human needs they represent deep core desires that you have, and these core desires are what drive your actions. So start by recognizing the emotions and the desires that motivate you rather than the barriers that are in your way. And you'll notice that the perceptions is all about your perceptions, how you perceive a situation that comes your way, and you can be able to control the situation from your mind. So for example, if you do look for positive things about your career, you're going to find them. And the same is true on the other side. If you are going to be searching for negative things to confirm your suspicions, you will also find those too. The key is to experience the emotions, because you will nonetheless, regardless of what you do encounter, positive or negative, you will experience a set of emotions. The key is to experience them, but not be overwhelmed by them, and definitely not to let them run your life. And the way to do that is to develop a greater level of emotional intelligence. And that's when you can weather the storm. The negative things that come your way, the challenges, the failures that you will inevitably face, you know that they are unavoidable. But suffering is a choice that is a choice. So your response to the challenges and failures that inevitably will come your way along your career journey, the response that you have to them, that will change the playing field. It is a completely new game when you respond to them in a way that is productive and that is conducive to you achieving your career goals. Step number 2 is to focus on your impact. Find the meaning behind what you do, the impact of what you do, and connect to your daily tasks, especially those that are trivial to you. Look for meaning behind what you do in terms of, for example, the relationship you have with your coworkers or the work that you do. And if none of those apply to you, if you're struggling to find meaning there, connect it then to a cause that you are passionate about. For example, during my career as an academic, there were a lot of things about doing research, about being a PhD student that were definitely trivial and that I did not enjoy. And so my adoptive parents, they are from Uganda, and what they do there is they have an orphanage called Eagle's Wings Children's Village. And so what I did was I dedicated my task to earning to give. And this is a concept where I would give a percentage of my income to their orphanage. And for them, they transformed that country of Uganda, hundreds of children, orphans otherwise who had no chance of a future. Now they are provided for. They have the basic survival, they have education, clothing, medical care. And for me, that was my outlet for finding meaning in what I do. Comment below, how are you feeling negative at your work? If you like this content, give me a thumbs up, and also remember to subscribe to my channel. Ring that bell as well so you can receive notifications each time I upload a new video every week. Step number 3 is to reward your accomplishments. Now I understand that when you have a to-do list, you have the checklist of items that you need to do, it feels so satisfying to check those items off. But what if it was filled with things that you were dreading, things that you didn't quite enjoy, things that you found trivial? Then the motivation is lost. It is harder to check those items off the list because you just don't feel like doing them. So one thing to get around that is to award your accomplishments. Use what I call if-then statements. So you would say something like this: if I finish my 300-page report, if, say you had a 300-page report that you needed to write, then you would say something like, if I wrote the first page, then I will reward myself by buying a latte, or if I finished this cleared my inbox for today of emails responding to customers, then I will award myself by buying myself a milkshake or going to a nice lunch. And so that works in terms of anticipating a reward, and also, but it's an if-then statement, so you only get the reward if you do what you set out to do, right? And make sure that your reward is commensurate with the accomplishment that you make. So if it's a bigger accomplishment, for example, you're landing a deal with a collaborator, or you are presenting and convincing your team to go a different direction, like something that deserves a bigger reward, right? So a bigger reward could be whatever that means to you. You get to go skiing, or you get to go to happy hour with a bunch of friends, whatever that is. Make that if-then statement valuable, something that you can look forward to. Step number 4 is to think of the worst case scenario. So ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Because sometimes the worst that can happen is very unlikely, and it isn't that bad. So when you go through this exercise of going through what is the worst thing that can happen if I'm making this presentation, or if I'm trying to make a deal with this collaborator, what's the worst that can happen? And sometimes you might find with that exercise that the stakes aren't as high as you made them out to be. But more importantly, thinking through the worst case scenario will help you to take the steps to avoid it. Step number 5 is to improve your space. The things that are around in your immediate environment really can affect how you feel. So make sure that you surround yourself with things that foster more of a positive mindset rather than a negative one. For example, when I was working in the corporate world, a lot of the things that I did in my role didn't inspire me, and a lot of times I found them trivial. So I surrounded myself in my office and in my immediate surroundings with things that reminded me more of home. I would include pictures, a calendar of photos that really inspired me, that brought on a positive mindset that I really enjoyed, and some of the things that are sentimental to me. And also in your environment, it also includes people, so surround yourself with people who support you, people who understand what you're going through, people that you can trust, that you can open up to, and also people that are winners themselves. They're not complainers. They're not the type that always talk about negative things, because the saying that misery likes company. So make sure that you surround yourself with your environment, with people, with things, and with objects that foster a positive mindset. Step number 6 is to practice gratitude. Remember to thank those who have helped you along the way, and give credit where credit is due. Because practicing gratitude, being thankful for the things that you already have, that is an insurance policy against egotism. Because you simply can't feel negativity when you are appreciative and when you are thankful.